everyone. Welcome back to Bobble Pod. I'm Anush Mnatsakanyan, CEO of Burn.
I'm Claire Daniels, CEO of Trio Media.
I'm Manni Singh, CEO of Bobble Digital.
So over the past 2 weeks, we were discussing the social media, and we have talked about what is social media, why do you need the social media? And to be honest, I was waiting to this episode because it's one of the important ones. It's a how, because you can know what is social media. Everybody knows it. And sometimes you're using for your personal reasons. You know, why do you need that? But sometimes you are struggling to understand how to use it and how to get benefit from it. So this episode, you will learn a lot of useful information, and maybe you can get started very quickly. So I would love to quickly give a question to Claire, and let's just discuss how to get started with social media.
Great question. So the key thing is obviously understanding where your target audience are. You know, who are my target audience for my product, service, whatever it is that I'm trying to promote, and where are they spending their time? Because really, it can be an investment of your own time to spend on social media. And I think for a lot of smaller business owners, that can often be the struggle is, I don't have the time for social media. It seems like a minefield to overcome. So it's really about breaking it down into, if you are looking to get started, pick a channel to begin with and start learning about that channel. Watch it, spend time on it, see what's working for other people. Follow accounts that you would like to be like and take inspiration from them. You know, social media has been around long enough that actually it's no longer a place where there's going to be any real unique ideas, you know, and everything is regurgitating things someone else has done or following the algorithms and pleasing the algorithms. So it really is about doing stuff that's tried and tested and that has worked before. So yeah, really just understanding that channel that you want to focus on. The next thing then is just to get started with creating content. I'm sure I will have said this on the podcast before, but one of our little phrases is document, don't create. Because the minute you start thinking about creating content, that in itself can bog people down. Okay, well, what content am I going to create? How am I going to do it? You know, we've spoken a lot about video, people potentially feeling overwhelmed about, well, how do I get started and what video am I going to make and what's the video going to be about? This just gets in the way of you actually creating content. So as soon as you start thinking about just documenting what's going on, you know, if you are a product business, can you show the manufacturing process? Can you show you packaging orders? Can you show how your online website works and changes that you make into your website? Can you show people the quality of the product and how it could be used, different use cases for it? If you're selling more of a service-based proposition, well, can you talk about it? If you were to go into a pitch, could you confidently talk about your product? If you could do that, do the same thing in front of your camera and talk to your audience via social media. So it's really about breaking down those barriers so you don't feel like you have to be a content creation expert to get started on social media. And I think that perception has come from the fact that we now do have social media content creation experts. You know, it didn't used to be a job in itself or something that people would aspire to be, whereas now, you know, the young people in school, they aspire to be social media experts and that's what they want to be. So some other people can potentially feel like, I've missed the boat, I'm never going to be able to do this. But it really is about breaking down those stigmas and just thinking, let me pick a channel and start posting content. And actually, the more authentic the content is, the more impressions, reach, growth it tends to get. You know, the type of content that people spend too much time thinking over and too much time perfecting can often fall on deaf ears because it's not what people are on social media for. They're there to see real content, real life. And so, yeah, that would be my main point I would encourage, is really show people the real, like, behind the business, what's going on and who to engage with. And, you know, a key point to note here is that's really where businesses who've been tapping into TikTok have seen that growth. They've not gone on TikTok and been video marketing experts and they've had highly produced adverts that they've been able to put out there. People who've gone from 0 to 1 million turnover using TikTok have been those who just got in front of the camera and said, this is my small business, this is me making this thing, this is what I'm doing. And people really love that and buy into it. So if you've not got started, I really recommend doing that. I did just want to make a point as well of, you may be listening to this and you've already started, but you go, but it's not working for me. Like, how do I improve what I'm doing versus like, this is all well and good to get started. I would review, are you doing what I've just mentioned? Because you could have got stuck in a rut where you feel like, you know, a bit of content, it just keeps going out, ticks over, but social media doesn't work for us. You know, we've seen through the amount of social media channels that we manage for other people and through our own, content with real people, real humans, real people that work for your business gets so much more engagement than other types of content. So, you know, are you being real? Could you go and switch up and really start showing people more of an insight into your business? And that's the type of content that really, really helps to grow a brand for you. Obviously, throughout this, we've been talking as well about why paid media needs to play such a key part in that. So following on from what I've said there, Manni, about like what we see and how we think people should get started, how do you then see the paid media complementing that, and where should people really get started on the paid media side to see that growth paired with the organic?
I think it follows on perfectly from organic. So I'd say, first of all, build your social platforms first, you know, because when you're pushing out paid social, and I mentioned this in last week's episode, of why you should be using it, is that, you know, if you're pushing out paid ads and people click onto your page, but there's no relevant content or there's nothing there and it's very blank and bare, then you've lost that potential customer who's going to think, you know, well, I don't really want to engage with a brand that doesn't really give me much information, because remember, they're not further down the buying funnel, they're at the top. So you've got to give them more reasons to buy through you or get them interested in your product or service through you. So the first thing is make sure that actually you've got content, a strategy, or organic content strategy in place and being active, whether you do it yourself or through an agency. Then it's gathering data. So how you get implemented with paid social channels is look at your data first and your strategy, which is understand who your audience is, who your customers are, who tends to buy, who tends to engage with you, because they're the type of people you need to profile when you're building out your campaigns across paid social. But the first thing I always get is, we always go up to businesses and there'll be some people saying, well, I tried social media, it doesn't work. No, you just didn't do it right. And there's different ways you didn't do it right. You didn't pick the right channel because you didn't identify your audience and have a key strategy in place, and you forgot to even create a foundation of a brand awareness across your organic social pages on those channels. So when people found you and looked into you, they were not interested in your business at all. Before we do anything, I know we all do it here, you know, Burn, we, Trio and Bobble. If you go to our social pages, just look at the content we create with, you know, some get some likes, some get higher likes, etc. We don't just do that for the sake of it. We do that because it, you know, we're helping our potential customers get through that journey as well. So before we do paid, you know, we've built a foundation, and that is probably why it didn't work. If you're asking that question, is one of the reasons is you didn't have enough organic content. You didn't have a strategy in place. Your audience wasn't right for that potential platform. So if you're B2B and you instantly thought LinkedIn was going to work, we've already talked about the different ways LinkedIn is very, very effective. You're not going to get much reach organically from your company page, but you will from your personal page. But there's different ways to run LinkedIn ads compared to what's on Facebook. So on Facebook, I would, you focus more on targeting audiences at a broader level. On LinkedIn, it's more targeted based on who they are by demographics, their job titles, their company size, plus the creative formats change. Whereas, you can use more longer form content on LinkedIn. You can do message ads, so LinkedIn in-mail campaigns through to, video, through to lead generation, so many different options available, and it's tailored to the audience and how they interact with that platform. So before you begin to explore, try really understand who your audience is, because knowing your audience is key. Because when you get into building your campaigns, whether that's in LinkedIn Campaign Manager or Facebook Business Manager, the first step is campaign objective. What do you want to achieve from that campaign? Step 2 is who do you want to target to? So that's where strategy and understanding your audience comes key, because when you're building out those campaigns, the first thing that platform asks you is, what's your objective? Do you want to drive engagement, traffic, conversions, etc.? So depending on what you want to do or what your business offers, B2C, B2B, it's very, very important to understand your strategy and audience and having that underlying foundation. Because what we do at Bobble is, we don't tell clients just to be on paid social. We tell them, well, who do you think your customers are? Then we go out and profile where those customers spend their most of their time across different social platforms. Then we say, well, actually, TikTok's the right channel for you because you're targeting a much younger demographic across these areas, and they're engaging more with video content. We can see that from the data that we have. So A/B test as well. So when you're looking to explore paid social, A/B test not just different platforms, different audiences, and I mentioned this in last week's episode. Remember, it's top of the funnel. Don't expect results instantly. And there's going to be a lot of small businesses here that are going to have limited budgets, and think, well, if I spend £500 on paid social advertising, I want to get, a good return from that. I'm going to say be a little bit more realistic. It's going to take time and you're going to have to learn. You're going to make some mistakes, especially if you're doing it yourself. And it's much more difficult to get reach at a lower budget level. So that's where you need that blended organic and paid approach to it, where you can use elements like boosted posts, or if you're using video across YouTube channels, you can create a video content and give it that little lift first. And using your budget a bit more strategically and more wisely in terms of how you do that.
It's the same for the video. Whatever you were talking, the same ways goes the creation of an effective video, social media ad. Because if you don't know the target audience, if you don't know for whom you are making your videos, you will never end up creating the content that can be interesting to your clients. So you can always ask for you several questions like, what my client would love to see on my page, what they are interested, like always look from their perspective, not from yours, what you want to share. More important, what they want to hear, what they want to see. And if you create the content from your client's perspective, there is no any chance that your content will not reach them or not be interesting for them. So that's the very first point whenever you're creating any kind of social media ad, be it as image, video, or any kind of content. When we continue, usually I want to give like more practical steps of how create an ad that can give you some results. When you know exactly already from top to bottom your client, where they are located, what they are interested in, you can already create a script. Don't start by just producing a video. Start with scripting your video. Start understanding how you're going to start your video, what you're going to talk about, how you're going to end your video. All this scripting is one of the reasons why people how you can easier create a message, and always have a call to action at the end, because when people are interested and watching your video till the end, they need to make any kind of actions. And if you don't push them to make that actions, they can do anything they want. So try to give more kind of practical advice what they can do after watching your video. And that's where actually comes the question of understanding which type and format of the video to create. So do they prefer your target audience? Do they prefer seeing a live person talking? Do they prefer animated characters? Do they prefer the actual production or motion graphics? When you understand your audience, you can understand already what would be interesting for them. Create the actual script only when you know all these steps. Start thinking about who could be the best narrator for your video. Do you want a narrator, or you want just the messages to pop up in the video? Create a storyboard based on that. Before creating your actual production, understand the visual creation of what would be visually presented in the video, and then start the production process. And when you finish the production, following all these steps, you will be surprised that it will be really helpful for your clients. It will be helpful for them to understand your product and understand how this product could be beneficial for them. And I totally agree with Manni. Always do an A/B testing, because you can't guess. You will never guess. But if you do A/B testing, you can really understand which was A, better,